our meeting to order. It is 6 o'clock, and declare that we do have a board quorum present. If you will please stand for our invocation, which will be led by our newest board member. And then also for our pledges of allegiance, which will be led by the Roberts Elementary student, Leah Delgoski and Sadie Park, and our Boydell representatives, Anthony Ham, and Evan Neighbors. And I apologize, Mr. Joe Bryan.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity for us to gather, to honor, and to assist the most valuable resource in the world, our kids. It's so essential that we provide proper educational facilities and proper educational programs to allow them to grow so that our world, our society will continue. We ask that you bless each family that's here tonight as they travel home. Bless each of the kids in our district and the families they represent and those families, and lead us forward in a positive way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Good job.
I'd like to ask our board to begin making its way to the front as we transition into our awards, achievements, and recognitions time. I will now turn this presentation over to Mrs. Carla Christman.
Good evening, Superintendent Massey, Board President Howard, board members, staff, and our guests. Tonight, we have much to celebrate. As the board members make their way, I would like to ask Mrs. Jessie Jennings, our Director of Career and Technical Education, to please come up to present the first award.
Good evening. This past summer, the Brazos Wood FFA shooting sports team earned 5 state banners during the 2018 State Ag Clay Shoot. The event was held June 3rd through the 5th at the National Shooting Sports Complex in San Antonio, Texas, and was hosted by the Texas Parks and Wildlife in conjunction with the Texas State Rifle Association. The Brazos Wood FFA chapter was one of numerous chapters that participated in the competition in order to enhance the ecology management portion of the Wildlife and Ecology Management course taught at Brazos Wood High School. This contest develops personal skills that may be carried on throughout a lifetime of enjoyment of the outdoors. Student participants also practice and apply teamwork, communication, and leadership skills while representing their chapters to the best of their abilities. This year marked a record win for Brazos Wood, being the most banners earned in a single year. The state champion all-female clays team is comprised of Brinley Batchelor, Kenzie Camacho, Ashlyn Cartmill, and Reese Dingy. The all-female trap team comprised of Brinley Batchelor, Kenzie Camacho, Ashlyn Cartmill, and Courtney Neal placed 2nd overall. The all-male trap team placed 3rd overall. This is comprised of Cody Gartman, Hunter Jordan, Blake Monty, and Chris Ryder. The mixed gender track team placed 4th in the state and is comprised of Kenzie Camacho, Ashlyn Cartmill, Cody Gartman, and Chris Ryder. The mixed gender clays team comprised of Kenzie Camacho, Ashlyn Cartmill, Hunter Jordan, and Matthew McCabe rounded out the Brazos Wood FFA shooting sports team competition with 5th place overall. Individually, Kenzie Camacho was the 4th place overall female shooter, and Hunter Jordan was the 6th place overall male shooter, along with Austin Phillips, who also excelled within the competition. They were led and supported by their teacher and coach, Mr. Chase Watson. Congratulations to the Brazos Wood FFA shooting sports team, and good luck in the coming competition year.
President Howard, members of the boards of trustees, Superintendent Matthew, it is a privilege for me to recognize and honor 4 well-deserving BISD students that were selected as outstanding 4th through 8th graders and participated in the Education in Action Summer 2018 Lone Star Leadership Academy Camp. The selection process for the camp is based on demonstrated academic success and leadership ability, an educator's recommendation, and involvement in school and community activities. Our 4 young leaders joined other participating students representing communities across Texas at a camp in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. During the week-long overnight camp, these 4 distinguished students developed leadership skills while learning about the great state of Texas. They experienced what they are learning in school through visits to notable, historical, significant Texas sites. Venues included places such as the U.S. Bureau of Engraving and Printing, the Fort Worth Stockyards and National Historic District, the 6th Floor Museum at Dealey Plaza. In addition, professionals from the Dallas-Fort Worth area introduced students to a wide variety of unique careers during the camp. These young leaders are Connor Braun, Karen Farrell from Rasco Middle School, Sally Lee from Rasco Middle School. Congratulations.
Good job. Good job.
Recently, the Texas Association of Secondary School Principals selected Kimberly Zeal, Assistant Principal of Rasco Middle School, as their Region 4 Outstanding Assistant Principal of the Year. TASSP recognizes outstanding principals and assistant principals from the 20 region education service centers in the state. School administrators are nominated and chosen by their peers within their regions. Nominations are based on exemplary performance and outstanding leadership. As a Region 4 winner, Ms. Zeal is now eligible to compete for the TASSP state title of Texas Assistant Principal of the Year. Kimberly is in her 6th year serving as Assistant Principal in Brazosport ISD, having served as Assistant Principal at T.W. Ogg Elementary and now at Rasco Middle School. Before serving as Assistant Principal, she served as a 5th through 8th grade math interventionist at Clute Intermediate, 5th grade general education teacher, and began her teaching career as an elementary music teacher in New Mexico. Kimberly attended New Mexico State University and earned a Bachelor's of Music degree and was awarded a Master's of Education in Public Administration. Several letters of recommendation were submitted on Kim's behalf, one written by a student at Rasco State. When I got into some trouble, she took time to listen to my side of the story, as well as that of the other students involved. I think she did a fair job of giving us consequences. She listens to us. He goes on to say that Ms. Zeal encourages us to think on our own and not be swayed by others, because everyone is unique. According to Rasco Principal Jennifer Gonzalez, Zeal is credited with numerous achievements for their campus, including the successful implementation of response to intervention with a focus on behavior. Ms. Gonzalez said Ms. Zeal is dedicated and a passionate educator who always maintains professional demeanor and makes it her mission to provide every support she can for our students to be successful. Congratulations to Kimberly Zeal on her selection as the TASSP Assistant Principal of the Year.
hands.
For our next presentation, our BISD Chief of Police, Wade Nichols, will introduce our newest officers.
Good evening. This summer, we were fortunate enough to be able to add 10 new officers to the police department. For two and a half months, Captain and I reviewed applications and held countless interviews. Out of the approximately 60 applications, we were able to narrow down and hire the 10 best. They are as follows. Ariana Ramos. Ariana attended and graduated from Bradsport High School. She attended A&M Kingsville and received a degree in criminal justice. She worked for juvenile detention for 2.5 years and left to attend the police academy at Bradsport College. After graduating, she got a job at Lake Jackson Police Department, where she worked for 2 years before coming to BISD. Officer Rick Wright. Rick attended Pasadena schools and graduated from J. Frank Dobie High School. He graduated from Stephen F. Austin State University with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. His wife, Kay Colvin Wright, was born at the Dow Hospital and attended BISD schools. Both of his daughters attended and graduated from BISD schools. His wife's grandmother was one of the first teachers at BISD, and her mother was also a teacher at BISD. He was hired by Stephen F. Austin State University Police Department. He then went to work for Lake Jackson Police Department as a patrol officer, and later as a school liaison officer where he taught DARE to the students as well as other educational programs. He started working for BISD PD after retiring from Lake Jackson Police Department in 2018 after being in law enforcement for 33 years. Arminda Cantu could not be with us tonight. Stomach bug got her this morning. Arminda grew up in Brazoria and attended West Columbia High School. She has 6 brothers and 1 sister. 3 of her brothers are also police officers. She is reserved at the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office and worked briefly as a warrant officer at Danbury Police Department. She worked for Angleton ISD Police Department for 5 years, then went to the Angleton Police Department as a patrol officer. She finished her 8-year career at Angleton PD as a detective before coming to BISD PD. She has 3 daughters and 1 is currently in the nursing program at Bradsport College. Arminda has an associate's degree in business management. Orlando Montalvo. Orlando grew up in South Texas and attended Edinburgh ISD. He started his law enforcement career in 2004 at the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office as a patrol deputy. He then went to Lake Jackson Police Department as a patrol officer, moved back home and worked at the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office as a patrol deputy and then later a criminal investigator for 5 years. He has been in law enforcement for about 14 years total. His son will be attending BISD in the near future. Eddie Vargas. Eddie grew up in Alvin and graduated from Alvin ISD. He now resides in Lake Jackson with his wife and children. All 4 of their children attend Bradsport ISD schools. He has over 5 years law enforcement experience, including being SWAT certified. He came to BISD PD from the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office. Hunter Worley. Hunter grew up in Angleton and attended Angleton ISD until the 6th grade, when he moved to a small private school. He was in the United States Army from 2004 to 2011. He started his law enforcement career at the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office as a patrol deputy. He then became a mental health deputy as well as a member of the readiness team. He has been in law enforcement for 4 years. Hunter is also a certified mental health officer. Rick Park. Rick grew up in Lake Jackson for most of his life. He was homeschooled until the 6th grade, then attended the Danbury ISD. His wife Courtney is a teacher at Bradsport High School. His father-in-law has worked for BISD for over 30 years. He began his law enforcement career at Clute PD, where he worked for 6 years, moving up to the ranks of patrol sergeant. He was also a member of the SWAT team, as well as did some undercover work before coming to BISD PD. Rick's father is also the chief of police for Lake Jackson Police Department. Maria Gajardo. Maria resides in Lake Jackson and attended Bradsport High School as well as Bradsport College. She began her law enforcement career as a corrections officer for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, then got a job at the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office as a jailer. After that, she became a patrol officer for the Bay City Police Department. After a short time on patrol, she transferred to CID, where she dealt with crimes against women and children. She then went to the Danbury Police Department as a patrolman investigator before coming to BISD. Edgar Villegas. Edgar attended Fort Bend ISD and currently lives in Richmond, Texas with his wife and 2 kids, but is hoping in the near future to relocate to this area. He managed a private security company for over 6 years before accomplishing his dream of becoming a police officer. This is his first police job, and we're lucky to have him here at BISD. Bobby Brown. Officer Brown is from the Houston area, where he lives with his wife and 5 kids, 3 of which are in college at this time. After graduating high school, he started working for TDC and decided to go into the Army, where he was enlisted for 13 years. After a stint in the Army, he came home and pursued a career in law enforcement. He started his career with the Precinct 7 Constable's Office and then transferred to Humble ISD PD, where he served that district for 12 years. Mr. Brown then took a leave of absence while he pursued his master's degree from Liberty University. He then decided to come work for the best district in the state, BISD. As you can see, each officer is enjoying their new job as they interact with the students, staff, and fellow officers. I would like to commend all these officers for wanting to pursue a career within the school district. We're very lucky to have each and every one of them on our team. Carter, can you hang on a second?
Sure.
Yeah. Also, last Thursday, Officer Burmeyer and myself attended the Santa Fe Beewood JV game in Santa Fe, but I did have 2 officers that were over here at Slade Field, and Mr. Massey received an email from a parent, and I'd like to just read that real quick. It was a Santa Fe parent that attended the freshman football game over here at Slade Field. As you know, security is on everyone's mind. Here, a lot of parents don't feel very secure after May 18th. I had a junior in the high school in May. I'm sorry. I can't see. I had a junior in high school in May. He was with us tonight. He commented on your officers, how they watched and moved around. They took their job seriously. They were very nice. The lady spoke with us as we left. We felt safe. It's been a while that we could be at a school event and feel like anyone took safety seriously. Your officers looked like they were ready to protect their house. I wanted to show you how even in the rain they stood at attention. I wish I could have those 2 pictures just like this.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Brown, I want to make a joke.
Thank you.
That's my music.
Yeah, we'll make it. You don't have to see Mr. Howard. We almost made it. Are you standing up?
No, I don't.
Excuse me. Are you standing up?
All right. I'm on my knees.
All right, everybody, look this way, guys.
One more. Back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all don't have to stay unless y'all just absolutely want to.
Y'all need to
John Redden, our Executive Director of Compliance and Data, will present our campus distinctions.
President Howard, Secretary Atkins, and fellow members of the Board of Trustees. Campuses that receive an accountability rating of Met Standard are eligible to earn distinction designations. Distinction designations are awarded for achievement in 7 areas and are based on performance relative to a group of campuses of similar type, size, grade span, and student demographics. Distinction designations are awarded in the following areas: academic achievement in English language, arts, and reading, academic achievement in mathematics, academic achievement in science, academic achievement in social studies, top 25% comparative academic growth, top 25% comparative closing the gaps, and post-secondary readiness. Tonight, we will recognize 6 BISD campuses that earned 1 or more distinctions in 2018. I would like to invite the principal to come forward as I announce the name of each campus. Lake Jackson Intermediate School. Susan, come on up. Mrs. Susan Wood, and they earned a distinction for top 25% comparative academic growth. Gladys Polk Elementary School, under the leadership of Mrs. Tara Fulton, earned a distinction for post-secondary readiness. A.P. Boydell Elementary School, under the leadership of Mrs. Laura Morris, earned distinctions for top 25% comparative academic growth and top 25% comparative closing the gap. Stephen F. Austin STEM Academy, under the leadership of Mr. Brian Brooks, earned distinctions for academic achievement in mathematics, top 25% comparative academic growth, and top 25% comparative closing the gap. Freeport Intermediate School, under the leadership of Mr. Ian White, earned distinctions for academic achievement in social studies, top 25% comparative academic growth, and top 25% comparative closing the gaps. Last but not least, Best Brandon Elementary School, under the leadership of Mrs. Julie Evans, earned distinctions in all eligible areas: academic achievement in reading, academic achievement in mathematics, top 25% comparative academic growth, top 25% comparative closing the gaps, and post-secondary readiness. Only 5% of elementary schools in the state of Texas earned all possible distinctions. Please join me in congratulating each of these principals for the accomplishments of their teachers and students.
Yeah, that would be great.
Make Lord feel a whole lot better.
They want your hand over there. Actually, put them in the corner.
That was Richard, put the baby in the corner.
I'd rather.
No Place for Hate is a designation awarded through the Anti-Defamation League. The initiative provides educators and students with resources to ensure that diversity education is an integral part of the school curriculum. No Place for Hate also helps to create and sustain inclusive school environments where all students feel valued and have the opportunity to succeed by promoting respect for individual differences. Launched in schools in 2001, the popular initiative has been embraced by hundreds of campuses throughout the Southwest region. To be awarded the No Place for Hate designation, campuses are required to form a committee and design and implement 3 anti-bias or bullying prevention activities throughout the school year. We are proud of the following BISD campuses for being No Place for Hate schools. When I call your campus name, please come forward for recognition. A.P. Boydell Elementary. Best Brandon Elementary. Elizabeth Ney Elementary. Gladys Polk Elementary. Madge Griffith Elementary. O.M. Roberts Elementary. Elementary. T.W. Ogg Elementary. Lanier Middle School. Nebraska Middle School. Brazos Wood High School. Brazos Success Academy. The Lighthouse Learning Center.
Julie, come on down. Come on down. Come on down. Come on. There you go. Go on. He can hit you. Come around. Oh. Down the ground. Feelings here. All over again. Always on the front row.
I was thinking about doing that.
The right one.
Actually, we thought that we were gonna do this. We're gonna stay back there. We're gonna stay back there. We're here somewhere.
Nice try. I'll bring you down here. Who? Mr.
I was trying to hide.
That's okay. Mr. Atkins, I'm here. If you could move. Right there. Yeah, perfect. He'll move over just a few minutes. All right, so we got everybody. Everybody look at this one. All right. John.
One more just in case. Thank you all.
Let me know the next time. Will do.
One more.
BISD created the Extra Mile Award several years ago to recognize individuals or groups for their dedication to students and their willingness to go the extra mile for BISD. And tonight's newest member, Mrs. Brenda George, has definitely gone that extra mile and much more for our students and community members. Come on up. Brenda, you are a person that leads by example, not by words. You felt the calling on your heart to organize a community awareness rally for suicide prevention and mental health awareness after hearing of several youth in Brazoria County who had attempted suicide. Stop, talk, over campaign soon developed. After hosting a very successful stop rally in Freeport, you agreed to host another in Lake Jackson to reach more of our students and community. Brenda George, thank you for your unending dedication to our district and community. We are truly grateful.
Now you're the center of the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I have the pleasure of announcing our next recognition and our final one for the evening. In BISD, we believe that collaborative partnerships are vital to strengthening the learning experiences for our students. And there is no greater example of this than the unprecedented support of our students, staff, and schools that we received at the beginning of this school year. BISD is blessed to have many wonderful organizations and businesses who so graciously raised funds, held back to school events, collected and delivered school supplies for our students all over the district. Zachary, with 3 of their sites, Zachary Enos, Zachary BASF, and Zachary LNG, completely covered all the school supply needs for our Freeport students, pre-K through 8th grade. The Brazosport Rotary Club stepped up this year in a big way, organizing and hosting Freeport's annual back-to-school bash, where they not only had backpacks and school supplies to give to our Freeport secondary students, they also facilitated areas where community groups and BISD departments could share their valuable back-to-school information. The Gulf Coast After 5 Rotary Club assisted the Brazosport Club, but also worked with other partners to supply all the back-to-school supplies for Gladys Polk Elementary School. And one of their partners, and a big partner of BISD, the Brazoria County Dream Center, once again, like so many years in the past, held their annual back-to-school bash, providing BISD students, families with items they needed to start school. As always, they gave out backpacks filled with school supplies, new tennis shoes, gym packs which contained personal care items, and food for the family for the first week of school. At this time, I would like to ask representatives of these organizations to please join Mr. Massey and the board. With Zachary, we have Vicki Phillips and Leonard Parks. Mary Fox with Brazosport Rotary Club. James Davis representing the Gulf Coast After 5 Rotary Club. And Terry Willis of the Brazoria County Dream Center and all her peeps. Again, thank you all so much for the group. Well, this concludes recognitions for this evening, but we are coming back in October with a lot of student and staff setting the standard across the state and the nation.
At this time, in accordance with BISD local, the board will provide an audience with individuals who have signed up prior to the meeting to address the board. I do not believe that we have any folks to address the board tonight, so we'll move on to our next item. Before we get to that, I just wanted to, for those who are left in the gallery, to take a look, and I wanted to recognize all of our scouts who have come to participate here tonight towards earning one of their badges. They have come to observe our particular meeting, and they had lots of other choices, and they came to the most exciting venue to come. Stay awake.
Yeah, Mr. Howard, too, I would also like to welcome you and also invite you to send me an email if you'd like, and I don't have a problem visiting with you personally. I can go down to your school and visit with you also, too, about the governance structure of our school. So send me an email or a message on Twitter or Facebook. I'll do them all right? Thank you and welcome.
And can y'all stand up and let us recognize y'all?
Did we do it?
Mr.
Their emails are.
She made my children stand up. Y'all look
Thank
big.
y'all, yeah. Thank
Like we got this, put this little guy right down there a little bit. He didn't mean to be, but
There you go. Mr. Reinhardt, now you have to move that way just a tiny bit.
which way?
That way.
This way?
That, yes, sir.
You're right.
No, the other way. The other way.
All right, everyone look here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Parents, you want to go? All right, thank you, Scott.
Wait.
Thank y'all for choosing to be here. The next item that we have is our consent agenda. Are there any items requested to be pulled from the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Hearing none, it's been moved by Mr. Atkins to approve as presented. I'll second. Seconded by Mr. Spears. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. That carries. Thank you. The next item that we have on our agenda are our action items. Action item A is adding the 7th and 8th grade soccer as a UIL sport. Greg Jayco is going to share with us.
Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy FMS Local, it is my pleasure to present the request for adding intermediate soccer programs at the Clute, Freeport, and Lake Jackson intermediate campuses. Since 1967, when soccer officially expanded to professional ranks in the United States, there has been a steady growth of the sport throughout the country and our area. In a recent report by the National Federation of High School Associations, soccer is the second fastest growing sport in America and currently ranks 4th in the number of youth participating in school-sponsored programs. Currently, Clute Intermediate and Lanier Middle School offer a soccer club program for the 5th and 6th graders. Clute and Lanier both report a strong participation from their student body. With the addition of junior high intermediate soccer program, these students will be able to continue their participation in connection with their school. At Lake Jackson Intermediate, we have received feedback from the students, parents, and coaches that indicate that there is strong interest at this campus as well. A junior high intermediate soccer program provides another avenue, an opportunity for students to connect with their school, compete athletically, and deepen their sense of school pride. This program would align with the district's belief that students find purpose through connections with their school. A junior high intermediate soccer program offers a place for our students to remain engaged in school and provides an avenue for the families to increase their involvement in our school district. Additionally, this program will have a positive impact on the 2 high school programs. All 4 head high school coaches are in favor of this program and see it providing a way for students to become better prepared for their program. As you can see from the list of surrounding school districts, there are many offering of junior high soccer. Adding a soccer program at our intermediate campuses will provide an overall boost to our high school programs. Currently, Brazos Wood High School and George Ranch are the only 2 teams that do not have associated junior high soccer program in District 23-6A. Bay City is adding a program at their junior high this year, a school that competes with Brazosport High School. Here's an overview of Year 1, our implementation year. Junior high intermediate soccer is sanctioned by a sport by the University Interscholastic League, UIL. We will follow the rules and regulations for this program as outlined by the Constitution and contest rules provided by the UIL. We will offer 1 boys and 1 girls team at both the 7th and 8th grade level. This would be 4 teams at each intermediate campus. Typically, there are 18 to 20 students on a team. With the interest in soccer previously discussed, we do not anticipate having any problems filling 4 teams. There will be tryouts and practice will be 2 to 3 days per week at the intermediate campus. There will be 1 game per week and sites will include intermediate campuses, Slade, and Hopper Field. The season would start no earlier then April 8th, which coincides with the conclusion of intermediate track. The schedule this year will not interfere with any other intermediate sports programs. There will be one game a week, and the last week of the season would accumulate with a tournament. These costs represent the initial startup cost to the program and would not be this significant in future years. Coaching stipends. A coaching stipend of $1,000 per team would be provided. In a recent review of TASB of junior high soccer stipends in the Region 4 area, the average stipend was $1,500. With our initial schedule not being as long as allowed by the UIL, we felt a $1,000 per team would be an appropriate starting point. As is done yearly, we'll review all coaching stipends in the spring as part of our budget and employee compensation process. Equipment and supplies. This figure is made up of the initial need to purchase goals, balls, uniforms, and other equipment. A significant portion is associated with the start of this program. Officials, game personnel, and transportation are all other costs associated with having the program. We believe that the $45,000 figure represents a fair and accurate estimate and one that will not be exceeded as part of starting the junior high soccer program for each of our intermediate campuses. This figure represents less than a $4,000 investment in each team that would be created. In subsequent years, that figure would be less. Are there any questions? It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the addition of 7th and 8th grade boys and girls soccer at all three intermediate campuses.
Before we move on Mr. Schwartner, since he was not able to be here, he sent a prepared statement and asked me if I would read it. So since he's not here to ask questions or get to participate, then I just wanted to share that with you. He said, first of all, I would like to apologize for missing tonight's board meeting. I had to be in Georgia through Wednesday for work. I would like to express my full support for the addition of the 7th and 8th grade UIL soccer at all three BISD intermediate schools. The board and Mr. Massey have been committed to promoting all types of extracurricular activity and organizations to create opportunities for our students to have a positive connection to the school, and I believe the addition of soccer will fill a much-needed gap. We have been discussing the addition of intermediate soccer for a number of years, but we have not had a champion to get the program off the ground until Coach Kim Blank came back to Brazoswood last season. She has worked closely with district coaches, athletic director Diatley, and Mr. Jaco to make sure the program will be successful. Soccer is the first sport most youth play and has been a very successful youth and high school sport for many years in the Brazosport area. I hope that each of you will vote in favor of the addition of soccer at our intermediate schools. If I were there, I would be making the motion to approve. Thank you for your consideration, Mr. Schwartner. So, with that said, yes, sir.
I know you mentioned the other districts that had them in surrounding areas. Have they already set their schedules, or are you anticipating any issues getting on the schedule?
No, we're looking at about a 4-week schedule, so there will be a lot of interplay between the three intermediates themselves, and then Bay City will likely join us as well too this first year.
So basically be round robin within the
Round robin and then a tournament to conclude the season.
So they'd add us to the tournament would just be those 4 schools, or would
Those 4 schools, correct, yes, sir.
And then next year we could actually compete with the other districts.
Could compete with the other districts. Intermediate schools are unique in that they try to connect with local intermediate campuses and not follow the high school level of play.
Any other discussion before we move forward? Sir?
Go ahead. Mr. Massey said nothing.
I appreciate your interest, but we are not allowed for the audience to participate during this, since it was not previously asked to address the board concerning this. Thanks for being here. Any other discussion before we move forward with the motion? Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Reinhardt, seconded by Mr. Atkins. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. It does carry. Thank you. Mr. Jaco. item on our agenda under action items is action item B, adopt an order authorizing the issuance of Brazos Fork Independent School District Unlimited Tax School Building Bond, Series 2018, setting certain parameters for the bond. Ms. Rebecca Kelly.
Good evening. The following is in accordance with Chapter 45 of the Texas Education Code and Board Policy CCA. On November 4th, 2014, voters authorized BISD to issue $175 million of bonds. As promised, we have staggered the bond issuances to align with the value growth from large industry investments in our area, and we have been able to keep the tax rate flat. The original project timeline was set for the construction of our 5 new replacement elementary schools based on these staggered issuances, which would utilize the industry value growth. Actual value growth has increased capacity within the INS rate to issue bonds ahead of schedule. As such, the revised timeline has accelerated the planning of Aug and Roberts by 1 year. Aug will open in August 2019 and Roberts in August 2020. Brandon has been accelerated by 2 years and will also open in August of 2020. We have had 3 previous issuances, and the issuance of $45 million at the end of this month will fund the last round of the project. Tonight we have Mr. Lewis Wilk from U.S. Capital Advisors here to go over the parameters of the sale and answer any related questions. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Wilk.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly, members of the board, Mr. President, Mr. Massey, thank you all for having us tonight. I'm also going to introduce your bond counsel, Tom Sage, with Hunt and Andrews Kurth. We are here just to approve this parameter bond sale and the $45 million that Ms. Kelly just talked about. We have kind of through the process, I think y'all have a timetable that we've been looking at, and we have already received the PSF approval. Today we received the rating on the bonds, AA2, AAA, pursuant to the Permanent School Fund. That's an affirmation of where we have been in the past several years. The competitive sale is planned for September 26th, so in about 9 days. It will be sold competitively, so we'll have the low bid, the lowest interest rate will win the bid on these bonds, as we've done in the past. We expect to close on the 25th of October. And I'll ask Mr. Sage to come up and talk a little bit about the legal issues regarding the parameter sale. We're expecting an interest rate of about 3.5%. That's the current market. So the numbers in the parameter sale are just that. It's a little higher than what we actually expect because we don't know exactly what rate we'll receive on that day. We're all ready to go. This is the last installment of the $175 million, and we've because of your tax-based growth and everything, rates have been consistent. So that's a nice thing to be able to hold the rates consistent and add $175 million of capital improvements. So I'm here to answer any questions you have on the process or the sale, and then I'll ask Mr. Sage to talk about the order. Anything for me? Thank you very much.
Good evening. Again, my name is Tom Sage with Hunt and Andrews Kurth for Bond Counsel of the District. It's a pleasure to see you this evening. Lewis pretty well detailed the sale to you. We prepared an order for your consideration that authorizes the administration to go forward with the transaction that Mr. Wilkes detailed. This is authorized under the Education Code as well as the Government Code for districts of your size with your credit quality to pursue a parameter sale. This allows you to approve it tonight and then to have the bond sold in a couple weeks, or next week actually. This way you're not having to organize a board meeting with basically 3 days notice on a good market. That we can pick the marketing of the bonds and handle that independent of the schedule. So I'm happy to answer any questions. It's been a pleasure working through the voted authority with y'all, and we'll get this taken care of and have funds delivered to y'all on October 25th.
Any other questions?
Kelly? Can you give me an ADD version of what a parameter sale is?
Sure. I don't have to do ADD, let's just do it right now. This allows the board to delegate the authority to execute the transaction to the administration. Prior to the legislature giving school districts this authority, we would have had to have priced the bonds today and bring you what we call kind of like a live pricing. Like the bonds went out to the market today, we received pricing, and the board says, okay, we're selling them at that price as a board to take that action. Or in this case, we would try to schedule a board meeting for September the 26th and have everybody here kind of get together and bless the sale of the bonds. I think the legislature, they do a lot of things that we complain about. This is actually a smart thing. Rather than having jurisdictions all over the state kind of chasing the market with 72-hour notice for meeting posting notices, where the market comes in, the market goes out of the money, to allow us to do it this way, and for districts like Bradford ISD with very strong administration, very strong ratings, and a high level of confidence in your administration, to be able to delegate this within these parameters. So it's the maximum of $45 million, which is what we have outstanding, a maximum of 5% interest rate, which we obviously want to get the lowest we can get for y'all, we can't issue more than that, and a maximum maturity of 30 years, which is probably going to be a little longer than we plan to go. But as long as we're within those parameters, and that's why it's called parameter sale, the administration can execute the transaction.
Are the parameters set by the state or by us?
By you.
Those taking notes, you said we're doing really well. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Not everyone can do this. That's correct.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Kelly.
We do have a recommendation that the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees adopt an order authorizing the issuance of Brazos-Port Independent School District Unlimited Tax School Building Bond Series 2018, and that the superintendent and CFO be authorized to approve the amount, interest rate, price, including terms thereof, and certain other procedures and provisions related thereto.
Thank you. Do we have a motion concerning this recommendation?
I'll make the motion that we approve the recommendation.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Atkins. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by
But
saying
can I
aye.
ask a question before this? So this means Mr. Massey and Ms. Kelly are going to take care of this money?
Like we have the rest of it as well.
I'm just checking. I want to be sure that we have capable
Like
people.
the other 130.
Do we have to spell out the parameters?
We spend it fast.
It is in the order that's attached to
To the actual,
it is.
that's what I was trying to look for real quick.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. Thank you.
Thanks y'all so very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's do it.
The next item on our action item list is action item C, the 2018-19 Campus Performance Objectives. Mr. Ron Redden.
Good evening. In compliance with board policy BQ legal and in alignment with each district goal.
Gets that board.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Rao.
Enjoyed it. I got the money, let's go.
I think I'll learn.
Yes, sir.
In compliance with board policy BQ legal and in alignment with each district goal, it's my pleasure to present the 2018-2019 Campus Performance Objectives. Each year, every campus in the district must create a plan for improving each campus. Campus Performance Objectives identify the campus's focus for the coming year. They are developed by the Campus Educational Improvement Council, or CEIC, and the principal following an extensive, comprehensive needs assessment process. The 2018-19 Campus Performance Objectives were written to align with district strategic plan goals, board-approved student outcome goals and constraints, and identified campus improvement needs. Campus teams develop strategies to be implemented for each performance objective to support attainment of the objective. Campuses monitor progress toward accomplishing each performance objective once each quarter. The Board of Trustees must approve the campus performance objectives annually. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve the 2018-2019 campus performance objectives. At this time, I'd be happy to answer any clarifying questions you may have.
Yes, sir, Mr. Spears.
Was reading through them, are we gonna work on some of them being SMART goals, cause some of them aren't necessarily measurable, like directly measurable, they don't necessarily have timelines?
Yes, there are a few in there that probably need to be edited a little. They're a little bit broad, and some of them didn't have specific measures, that is correct. But the plan is a living, breathing document, so it can be edited.
If we change the percentages up, can you know that, so we don't change when we, whatever we get?
No, we wouldn't do that.
Good. Mr. Reinhardt?
All I'll say is we've come a long way. We're on the right track. And each campus has done a tremendous job in establishing their objectives. And time to rock and roll.
I didn't think I'd ever finish CIS.
What's that? I'm
I
sorry.
didn't think I'd ever finish CIS. Of course, went on and on and on, but there's a lot of info in there.
Well, and also, I will say to that, Mr. Atkins, that it spoke to how serious their teachers were. They had contracted them, but the teachers themselves asked that they be broken out by grade level, so that they have specific measures for each grade level, and that speaks to how the process went for them. Very encouraging.
I will say in the infamous Senate bill training, when we had to learn about the different studies, one of the things that really stood out to me was when was it Georgia that they took the districts top to bottom and paired them inversely with the #1 districts average of the last 3 years with the worst performing districts. One of the biggest differences they said was that the classroom or the campus faculty and staff had no idea what the actual goals for the district were, right? And I really like this because it tweaks it so it's relevant to the people that are there reading it, but it also keeps them in front of everybody.
Yes, it does. Yes, sir.
There are no other comments?
I'm just gonna make a motion, if you don't mind.
All right.
Would you mind?
Not at all. Please do.
I made a motion. We approve.
All right.
2018-2019 campus performance objectives for BISD.
It's been moved by Mr. Reinhardt. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Cuellar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. Carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Redden.
Yes, thank you.
Next item on our action item list is action item B, the approval of the EHDC resolution of board-approved credit by examination audit process.
That's a mouthful.
That is a lot.
That's a lot. So good evening, and in accordance with policy EHDC legal and district goal BISD will provide a rigorous and relevant learning experience to ensure that every student will be future ready. It's my pleasure to present for consideration the approval of a resolution providing an audit process for assessments for earning credit with no prior instruction. Students in kindergarten through grade 12 are eligible to test for advancement or to earn credit with no prior instruction. Opportunities to test for advancement or credit with no prior instruction are provided 4 times each year. Students in grades 6 through 12 can earn credit for an academic subject in which the student has received no prior instruction if the student scores a 3 or higher on a College Board Advanced Placement examination that has been approved by the board for the applicable purpose, a scale score of 50 or higher on an examination administered through the College Level Examination Program, otherwise known as CLEP, and approved by the board for the applicable course, or 80% or above on any other criterion reference test approved by the board for the applicable course. And y'all may recall that last July 2017, I came to you all with a revision to one of our policies, EHDC legal, and at that point, we approved each of these forms of examination that we would use. For years, the district has used criterion reference tests from the University of Texas at Austin, UT High School, to assess students in grades 6 through 12 who wish to earn credit with no prior instruction. So a few statistics. Last year, 78 BISD students were administered 147 examinations for credit without prior instruction, with a success rate of 97%. Nearly all of the exams were for high school credit, with the vast majority being Spanish tests. The Commissioner of Education added statutorily required language to Texas Administrative Code Chapter 74.24, stating that examinations developed by participating universities for courses that do not have a state EOC assessment shall meet all requirements for validation, including assessment audits, not later than the 2018-19 school year for each of its examinations offered for credit. In addition, language was added requiring school boards to approve an audit process for credit by examination assessments used for kindergarten through grade 5 acceleration. In response, TASB provided districts with a resolution template to be used to affirm their acceptance of the audit and validation process put in place by the University of Texas at Austin UT High School for their criterion reference test used across the state for credit by exam with no prior instruction. After meeting with the Texas Education Agency regarding the audit process, TASB strongly recommends that districts who use the UT High School exams adopt the resolution and include it in board policy as EHDC exhibit. A copy of the resolution is included in the board book for your reference. For each district-developed examination for credit in grades 6 through 12, administration recommends that the board approve the following audit process to be used to ensure that the required validation elements in Texas Administrative Code Chapter 74.24 are met. The beginning, and I'll read them straight down as they are. To ensure that the examination is aligned to all accessible teachers for the course, the district will annually review and verify the certification documentation from the University of Texas at Austin for both K through 5 and 6 through 12 credit by examination to ensure that examinations are aligned to all accessible teachers for the course. Secondly, to ensure that the examination is not published and is not publicly available, the district will annually review and verify the certification documentation from the University of Texas at Austin for both K through 5 and 6 through 12 credit by examination to ensure that policy certification documents certify that all exams are not publicly available in any capacity. Third, to ensure that the examination is administered in a secure environment under standardized conditions by the district will annually review University of Texas at Austin's security requirements and ensure that all procedures for security are followed as specified in policy documents. And fourth, to certify that the examination is evaluated to ensure test scores can be interpreted as indicators of what the test is intended to measure, and for consistency of test results across testing conditions, the district will annually review policy and procedure documents from the University of Texas at Austin to ensure that all testing procedures are followed as specified to ensure consistency of test results across testing conditions. Additionally, if the examination for credit is a course that has a state end-of-course assessment instrument, the board approves the following audit process to be used to ensure that the additional required validation elements of 19 Texas Administrative Code Chapter 74.24 are met. The first is to ensure that the examination is aligned with and appropriately addresses all accessible teachers for the course. The district will continue to monitor annually the University of Texas at Austin updates and ensure that exams are certified and assess teachers for the course as specified in UTHS certification documents. Secondly, to ensure that the examination assesses the appropriate level of rigor for each student expectation, the district will annually monitor data from the University of Texas at Austin found in its certification documentation that ensures the rigor level of the exam meets all state requirements. And lastly, to ensure that the examination yields comparable distribution of results across tested subgroups, the district will annually review distribution tables from the University of Texas at Austin found in its certification documentation. It is the recommendation of administration that the Board of Trustees approve EHDC Exhibit Resolution of Board Approved Credit by Examination Audit Process time, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Go ahead.
Mr. Redden, on in the handbook part, according to Texas Administrative Code 7424, CBE, they can, may not attempt to earn by examination for a high school more than 2 times.
That's correct.
Is that 2 times total, or is that 2 times first year? What is that?
2 times total for the same course. Yes, sir.
But as many times as they want for different courses. Only 2 times per course. If
Right.
If they're
That's
trying to
right.
do Spanish
They're not
1,
limited to
Spanish
2
3.
assessments. That's correct. That's correct.
But for biology, they got 2 times.
They got 2 shots. And that's for the A or the B. They administer an exam for the first semester, TEKS, and they administer an exam for the second semester, TEKS.
Any other questions? Cost. Payment.
How does it pay for? The district pays $30 per exam for any student that assesses.
Pass or fail?
Pass or fail, yes, sir.
Does that cover the cost, or?
Yes, that is exactly the cost, no more than the cost of the test.
Is there, I think that was a question, I said, if they don't show up,
Then they forfeit the $30. They make a deposit of $30, and only after that deposit is made do we purchase the exam. If they do not show up, they forfeit the $30.
good.
Any other?
And I need to add, I'm sorry, Mr. Howard, statutorily, we're required to pay for the tests.
Okay.
With that money we send back to the state, and pay for it.
Well, you know, it might pay for a few, I don't know. Those tests could be very expensive, maybe $35 million worth.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of acceleration.
Good.
Yes, it's a lot of
Well, I
acceleration.
tell you what, we've got some highly tested folks.
Yeah, I'll say.
All right, we have a recommendation from the administration that the board approve the BHDC resolution of board-approved credit bank examination audit process as presented. Do I hear a motion to approve? So moved by Mr. Reinhardt, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Spears. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. It carries. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Reddy.
you.
Next item on our agenda under action items is action item E, superintendent appraisal measures.
Yes, sir. The instrument used to evaluate the superintendent shall be based on the superintendent's job description and performance goals and shall be adopted by the board. The board shall prepare a written evaluation of the superintendent at annual or more frequent intervals. The board shall furnish the superintendent with a copy of the completed evaluation and shall discuss its conclusions with the superintendent in a closed meeting. The Board of Trustees reviewed evaluation measures with the superintendent on August 20th, 2018. A mid-year review will be held January 14th, 2019. Superintendent's contract action will be scheduled for February 18, 2019. A summative review will be held May 20th, 2019. The superintendent recommends the Board of Trustees approve the recommended superintendent appraisal measures as drafted on drafted August 20th, 2018, and finalized in your board packet.
Any questions?
I'll just check to be sure his banking abilities were covered here. We'll be all right.
Any other comments or questions before we move forward? All right, hearing none, we do have a recommendation by the administration. Do I hear a motion to approve as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Mr. Atkins, second by Mr. Reinhardt. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. That carries as well. Thank you, sir. We do not have any items under consideration to be pulled from the consent agenda, so we will move forward to our reports. Report A is our demographer student enrollment projections.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure to introduce Rocky Gardner with Templeton Demographics. We have been partners with Templeton for the last 4 years, I believe. This is our 4th year now, and with Rocky, and Mr. Bob Templeton also works with us too. So thank you for driving down, and we look forward to your report. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Members of the board, President Howard, and Superintendent Massey. I want to start with just saying that we've been working with Brazosport now for like 3 or 4 years. And one thing our team does, we kind of start with big picture and then narrow it down. So you're going to see here, these are the Houston area kind of economic conditions. Houston's adding almost 80,000 jobs a year now, so they pick things up. Unemployment rate is well below 5%, which is considered full employment. I think we're at 4.7% in Brazoria County, so it's a strong unemployment rate. I like to think of full employment at 5%, because if you get much below that, then it's even hard to find the right employees for the job. So that's why they traditionally said that. They're adding almost 30,000 jobs up in the Houston area. So I think that as drives, the Houston economy does drive things in the area. And we also, if we look at the economic conditions, just jobs in general, 4 of the top 10 job-creating MSAs in the country are now in Texas. So Texas is strong job growth. If we zero down into the Dow DuPont plant expansion that's going on here, they're going to have about 1,000 craft employees. I'm not going to read all these bullets. You guys will have time to do that. But there'll be 50 new workers that start up, about 1,000 craft employees, professionals that they'll likely be there as well as time goes on. These are not all new jobs, but they are jobs that will be there and will be sustainable. Brazosport ISD, the housing market. Right now, what we've done is we collect deed transactions, and these deed transactions are homes that have sold in the last 12 months in Brazosport ISD. So these are real. They're based on real home sales. The majority of those are in existing homes. About 90% of those are existing homes. That average sale price is about $235,000. Your average sale price of a new home, which is about 10% of the market, it's actually a little less than that. It's more like 5%. Is right at $342,000. So a much higher price point. What we do now is we map your students. So we geocode the students to see what the yields are in these neighborhoods, and that's something that's ongoing. Mr. Templeton's going to be here, I think in October for the facility committee meeting, and by that time, that geocode will be done, so we'll have a little more detail on some of this housing. But we do have a look here at how much the prices have gone up in Brazoria since 2010. In 2010, there were 170,000. The average price of a new home was $177,575. By 2018, year to date, that number had grown to $329,000. So you can see that shift in appraised value. Existing homes, they've accelerated by about 60,000, and so we've seen that strong acceleration all throughout Texas and really throughout the U.S. Moving forward, just kind of taking a look at some of the new housing in the area. Brazosport started 115 homes in the last 12 months. Those are new home starts. And they closed about 99. So a closed home is an occupied home. So an occupied home is kind of what we use to manage your projections. So that's about 100 homes in the last 12 months. We've got 249 VDL. VDL, that represents vacant developed lots. Those are lots that are ready to be built on tomorrow. So they're ready to go. So that just kind of tells us the pipeline to keep going at about 100 homes a year, 150 homes a year is truly there. Then you've got 2,775 future homes. Now, future home is a lot of land has been talked about in some of it for years. You know, we don't know when they're going to start. We just know that there's talk out there. I think it's the Alden subdivision has been talked about for years, right? 1,300 homes.
Let's don't mention that anymore.
Okay. Well, I think might be a picture, but ignore the yellow on this slide. We won't be talking about it. I'm
well familiar with it. I just left the mayorship of Lake Jackson. We've been trying to sell that since 2006, and it's not sold.
Still trying to move. We keep it in the database, and we do project if you look, when we get to our projections, when we got to years 7 through 10, we are anticipating some housing growth out there. It may not be them, but we're anticipating that there could be some activity out there. And so, again, that's part of the yellow that you see on this slide. The green is where there's already active subdivisions. And so we, like I said, there's over 250 lots available in the areas in green that you see on the map there. And then there's groundwork underway for about 70 lots within some of that green. So that's where some of that future becomes VDL. We've got a couple slides here that represent some of these developments. Oyster Bend, Creekside, they got 223 total lots, 71 of them are future lots, 106 are occupied. Again, those occupied lots are what we use then to try to generate our enrollment projections. We track the number of students that live in those occupied lots, and that allows us to try to project what the future will be when there's 223 lots built there. They have 25 under construction, and they're building about 45 to 50 homes a year there in that 250 to 400K price range. That's Oyster Bend. College Park Estates and Woodshore, you can see these. Woodshore is predominantly going to be, they've got 98 futures. You can see a little bit of it up there, the arrow pointing there to the 98 the future lots there. But they've got 21 under construction in Woodshore, and they're building, they'd like to say 25 to 30 a year. Again, our team contacts the developers themselves and the builders and tries to allow them to kind of give us an estimate, and then sometimes they're a little bit optimistic, we'll say, so we try to limit our projections based on what they provide to us. College Park Estates, they're going to finish out in the next couple of years. They've got about 67 VDO left, and they're doing about 20 to 30 homes a year. So they think about 2 more years, and they'll be built out there in College Park Estates. Creek Bend, 55 total lots, just 3 occupied, but 8 under construction. They've delivered those lots, so that's just a matter of getting those built. KF Nanian Homes, so they're going to do 15 to 20 homes a year. So they'll be done, in the next 2 to 3 years there in Creek Bend. This next slide is a birth rate analysis, because I'm going to get into projections in just a second, but trying to understand kindergarten enrollment is the biggest challenge that we have as demographers in doing enrollment forecasting, particularly in Texas. Texas kindergarten enrollment dropped by about 13,000 students 2 years ago. And 1 year ago, it dropped by about another 6,000. And last year, it dropped again, but not quite as significantly. We've seen a slowdown in kindergarten enrollment. A lot of that's just that's families are forming a little bit later. I guess millennials are deciding to kind of wait a little while to have children. I can vouch for that, actually. Someday, but I've got a granddog, so I guess it's going to happen eventually.
You're a millennial.
Yeah, that's where we are. So we've been trying to see what kind of correlation we've seen historically in Brazosport. So what this chart shows is the number of births by zip code, so the zip codes that basically represent the school district, and then the kindergarten enrollment 5 years later. You can see there that typically that's been below 1. It's been about 0.90%. Then 2 years ago it went to 1.03, dropped off again, then it went back up to just over 1 last year. So we've been seeing these fluctuating trends, and a lot of that is because you're getting migration as well. So we're trying to understand what's going to happen. Our forecast is built on this kindergarten enrollment staying up over 900. And that's the biggest challenge, because the shift, if it drops, so next year's kindergarten enrollment, we're forecasting at 914. Slightly lower than this year, but keep in mind that would still be about a 2% growth based on the births that occurred during that same time. If that number would drop to, say, 0.95, then that's about 50 kindergarten students. And that begins to impact your projections as you go forward for 10 years, and it could be a significant change. I say that, I just wanted to kind of show this projection, because you see a growth rate that we're showing 114 students next year, which would put you just at 12,478 students. It can look kind of aggressive, but at the same point, if we're doing almost 150 homes per year, we're seeing the migration, we're seeing some of these rates increase. You've seen some strong changes at high school in Brazosport, and that's really not related to growth, it's related to programs. So your high school, what we see traditionally, has actually been increasing cohorts. So that just means that more high school students are staying. held that trend going forward as well. So we've held that staying secondary trend, and then of course we've got this this kindergarten enrollment growth. So that would put you at, in 5 years at 12,780 students, and just over 13,300 students within 10 years. That's growth of about 900 students over a 10-year period. If your kindergarten students should start to slow down, if the housing, and we're predicating this on about 150 homes a year as well. So when the housing market has a hiccup, which we know it will, there could be a period where it drops off and picks up again. We have those swings. Then you're going to see a little swing in that enrollment as well. Right now though, we believe you're kind of trending up, especially if those secondary cohorts stay up. Because really, when we're forecasting from the elementary level, and we're letting that roll forward. We're letting that roll forward and kind of follow the trends there of the district. At the campus level, this first chart represents your elementary campuses here, and you can see there that we have this in 21, 22 May closing, and that's when your enrollment is distributed throughout each of those campuses based on those new boundaries that were put in place 2 years ago now, I think. Is that right? Correct. 2 years. And so now this does have Brandon showing a little bit of growth, when you're getting towards the end of this forecast. But keeping in mind also that when we're trying to build the projections, we're also looking at your current transfer patterns. We call this an attend forecast. It means it's based on current attending patterns. So if you've got a campus that's transferring 120 students into it right now, we assume that remains the same until we're told different. So when you start looking out in the future, there are some transfer patterns there that we'll keep an eye on. But you can see there the trend. We think that your elementary could be around 5,400 students within 10 years. Now we also put another slide in here. This slide is basically a look at if we moved the pre-K and moved all the pre-K into the NA campus in 21-22. So that's why you see a little shift in these numbers. They drop by campus based on the pre-K being pulled out, and then running about 152 pre-K at NA. The reason that number remains the same is because as a company, we don't project pre-K. It's basically it's a district-controlled number. There's so many things that go into it, so we don't traditionally project pre-K. This next slide here gives you a little look at your middle and your intermediate campuses. Again, we're showing a little bit of growth. The fluctuations that you see where you'll see a negative for a year, then a positive, that's just these grades, these grades that are passing through the district then. But again, we're looking at 13,297 students within 10 years, and the five-year point is about 12,780 in this forecast. Again, unemployment rates in Brazoria counties are below 5%, which we consider full employment. It's a good sign for the economy. Dow DuPont's chemical plant expansion slated to open late 2019. They're going to bring new jobs with that. They started 115 homes in the last 12 months. We think that could accelerate just a little bit with continued growth in the area. New home prices they've risen 85% since 2010. That's a price difference of $151,000 just since 2010. We can expect enrollment of over 400 students during the next 5 years, and close to 900 students in 10 years with 13,290 staff. With that, I'm happy to discuss the projections, the housing forecast. Are there any questions?
This is just out of curiosity. When was your survey taken on the new homes being started? How recent is that?
That was done in our team. They were making phone calls in August on this, so that was done in August. She made a few calls probably last week or so, and most of that research was in August.
Back to your Alden thing, when this first came up, the plan there was to have over 900 single-family residences there, and that was a big plus for the area, and everybody got kind of excited, and then it's kind of gone silent. So hopefully at some point in time that will.
I feel like that he talked to someone just recently, so I'm not sure who our researcher talked to. He thought the number was like 1,300 now, single family, and 400 to 600 multifamily. That's been thrown. At least that's the number that's been thrown around.
And it's just getting him off of that center to do something. place like Jackson has left to grow.
There's a lot of,
And also about that, I know Mr. Reinhardt has seen those development plans, that there is plans for an elementary in that subdivision. Yeah, so that would help also.
well, I think Bob will bring some good news to you guys. I don't know if this will be good news or not. He'll bring a little bit different news, because he'll be able to talk to the yields a little bit. Understanding those yields as well is pretty interesting. Those Boy Scouts, well, as much as Mod can be interesting. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? I don't think that there's a direct connection, but I'm gonna ask anyway. These homes that, all these lists of potential homes, and their prices from $250,000 to $400-something thousand, is there any connection to kids? And the reason I'm asking is because the majority of the kids I see are not gonna live in a house that fits into that dollar amount.
I think that your higher yields are going to be in your existing homes. They're going to continue to be there. We've seen a direct correlation really throughout Texas, and as prices have gone up, yields have declined in those higher price points. Years ago, that $400,000 or $500,000 home, that was your second or third home. So the students that were in them were usually they're usually in secondary school. Then we went through a period in the when the housing market, before the last housing crash, where we were getting kindergarten students out of $500,000 homes. Now things have kind of gone back to a little bit of what we might call normal. But the question is whether or not the price point is too high, and they're going to have to start kind of coming down. We're seeing some areas in other parts of Houston and Dallas-Fort Worth where they've replatted developments to make smaller lots so they could build a less expensive home, because they just not getting
The new vice president of the local chemical complex now, we have this new 2,000 employee Texas Innovation Center here, research and development, et cetera. And when he came down, and Danny knows this, his thing was trying to get engineers and scientists to move here, and they were looking for those $400,000 to $600,000 homes, and they can't find them here. They're staying north of Highway 6 or north of 1462 anyway, and that affects our whole area.
That's a really good note too. I've heard, we work with Alvin ISD as well, and we've heard people in Alvin talk about how they live there and they drive to Fresno. You have to relate to housing.
Yeah.
Any other comments before we move on? Just a report. Thank you very much. Our next report is Report B, the Safety and Security Report. Mr. Whitehead.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. In accordance with Board Policy CK Legal and CK Local, it is my pleasure to present the Safety and Security Update. Brazosport ISD's Board, Superintendent, and Administrative staff have made a commitment to student safety that is certainly setting the standard in the state. By adding and enhancing 25 measures, some of which are multiple levels, our response to school safety is one that is a model for others, and leading the way in ensuring students and staff are safe at school. Our commitment to school safety starts with police officers. As we had the pleasure of meeting these men and women earlier this evening, we have hired an additional 10 new police officers, bringing our total force to 20 officers. We are currently pleased with the high-quality candidates that are now part of our Brazosport ISD family. To increase the reaction time to crisis, we've also added safes and AR-15s at the high schools and intermediate schools. I'm happy to report that all safes have been installed and all AR-15s have been ordered, and the ARs are projected to be picked up by Chief Nichols this Wednesday. Additionally, we've added numbering to the exterior doors to assist with communication locations in times of crisis. Brazoswood and Brazosport High School campuses have been completed. The intermediate campuses will be next to receive numbering on all exterior doors. This component allows for quick communication to law enforcement when responding, and as you can see, Brazoswood High School has 59 exterior doors, all numbered, and Brazosport has 54 exterior doors. This is a simple and effective way to identify locations for response. We continue to strengthen our partnerships with local law enforcement. BISD hosted the police chief's regular meeting this past Friday to deepen our partnerships and review and discuss campus responses and protocols and incident command responses. Chief Nichols has continued to collaborate with local agencies to develop protocols for rapid response to crisis should one occur. Also note, we are feeding our officers free meals at our campuses, and at this point, last we conducted a survey. We've fed 35 meals for breakfast and 206 meals at lunch. So we're seeing active participation for our lunch programs and breakfast programs for our officers. Safety specialists are yet another layer that has been increased to ensure safety. We have a total of 13 security specialists. These uniformed men and women actively monitor and act as the eyes of the campus. The campus administration has reported that these men and women have an enormous impact on monitoring the campus and keeping our students safe. The security specialists rotate to the camera viewing room at each of our high schools. This measure is extremely valuable as proactive camera monitoring allows one to keep watch on multiple areas from one location, and in times of concern, he or she can radio other specialists to check directly on the situation. Here you can see the monitoring rooms at Brazoswood and Brazosport. Each is equipped with 3 50-inch TV monitors for viewing. Additionally, wiring and cameras are in the process of being secured to add existing coverage and allow for even more surveillance of our campuses. Beyond the campus, we will install cameras at maintenance, transportation, and child nutrition sites as well. The BISD Behavior Management Team supports safe schools and has been commended several times this year already for their response to students that are challenging. Behavior specialists are teachers that have a background in managing challenging behaviors and often are special education teachers. Behavior technicians are paraprofessionals similar to specialists that are trained to handle students with social emotional challenges. Knowledge and connections to students ensure appropriate interactions take place and therefore prevent bullying and wrongful social interactions on the campus. Like the behavior management team, BISD has one of the most robust support systems for students and families. BISD partners with True to Life Ministries to place student success coaches at Brazoswood, Brazosport, and Brazos Success Academy. The success coaches also host the Belay large group programs at Brazoswood and Brazosport. We also host the Bay Area Council on Drug and Alcohol at Lanier, Rasco, CIS, Stephen F. Austin, and the Lighthouse Learning Center, as well as the Boys and Girls Club, which is currently at 13 sites in BISD. Lastly, FIS, Lanier, and Freeport Elementary and Velasco are staffed with community and schools coordinators. The Stephen F. Austin Community Health Clinic has expanded the availability of mental health services in BISD. Each site has Dominique Crane, you can see Dominique there, a licensed professional counselor available for appointments from 3 to 5 p.m. 1 day per week. Scheduling is done through the Stephen F. Austin Clinic, and the campus school counselors can also provide a referral for the counseling on a form created by the SFA Clinic. Okay, now moving to fencing. Weather permitted. Actually, I got news from Mr. Wingen earlier. They have been out at Brazoswood High School as of today at 3:30. Backwater fencing staked out the area of Brazoswood High School, and from there they will move to Brazosport High School next week. So here is a timeline for those fencing projects. High schools will be first, then middle intermediate schools, and then the Lighthouse Learning Center. Alongside that, the elementary gate installation will overlap the final stages of the fence installation, and all fencing projects are to be completed projection for January. Very optimistic. Sidewalks have been installed to allow for easy access about the campus. These sidewalk additions will support campuses leaving all front parking spots available to visitors coming to the campus and creating a more welcoming environment for our community and visitors. This picture is at Clute Intermediate and allows guests to park in the side lot and, or staff, I'm sorry, to park in the side lot and walk easily to the office, which frees up our front lot. BISD will be installing front door video surveillance cameras, which is also an additional security measure. This picture shows a guest pressing the doorbell at Brazos Success Academy that rings to an IP phone or multiple phones on the campus. A BISD employee will answer the call and communicate with the guest at the front door. If the person is allowed in, the employee will press a button on the phone, and that will unlock the door and allow the guest into the campus. Vestibules at CIS and Lanier now have walk-up capability. This allows for communication with guests without immediately buzzing them into the office area. The picture on the left is at Clute Intermediate, and the one on the right is Lanier Middle School. This creates more protection for the front office staff. As approved earlier in consent, metal detectors and related equipment will be ordered and secured. This area is one that we continue to move forward with that requires training, policy changes, postings, and random use to ensure that searches are done legally and fairly. Mr. David Hodgins blessed us with his presence last week at our regular assistant principals meeting to train assistant principals on proper searches and requirements for using metal detectors. Training staff and students in many areas has taken and will continue to take place across the district. Training in the standard response protocols, the National Incident Management Systems took place this summer. Then additionally, BISD police received training in mass trauma, which was a critical component in the Santa Fe incident and saved an officer's life. Another training that I had the pleasure of watching, and it was extremely intense, was the active shooter training. Officers throughout the county took part in this training, and it took place at Brazos High School this summer. I know many of you have seen the pictures already of this. A very good training. Also, thanks to the efforts of Dr. Robin Felton, the emergency response protocols are now on one page. The change received a round of applause by staff during the back-to-school trainings, as the previous flip chart was difficult to review and use, especially in a time of crisis. The new chart is user-friendly for teachers, students. As you can see, even the elementary students can learn the visual signs on the chart, and also for substitutes. Campus principals train teaching and support staff upon return to work this year, and then students receive training on elementary response protocols the first few weeks of school. Here you can see Madge Griffith's assistant principal, Ken Wilson, down there on his knees, demonstrating shelter, which is commonly used for tornado or hazmat situations. And on the top left, O.M. Roberts' teacher, Tracy McKay, reviews the standard response protocol poster online with her students. Reporting threats or bullying is now fast and efficient. Our online reporting system allows students, parents, or anyone to report a threat or bullying online. Our main BISD homepage has a link at the top, Keep BISD Safe. Then only three clicks later to get you to the form for a specific campus. Administrators, counselors, and officers get an email instantly when a form is submitted. The last major area to note was the purchase of Social Sentinel. If social media threats of violence or suicide are posted in our area, or key terms associated with our schools like Bport, Bwood, etc., we receive a notice. Chief usually gets his text around 2 a.m., and then several others get a morning email. We get about 6 to 7 a week typically with this service, and we are very pleased with it so far as an additional layer. And here you can see what we receive. This is a post, an actual post, that contains key terms. Notice at the red arrow, I swear I will kill you. Not likely a serious threat given the content and overall scope of this post, but one that can be easily screened and filed. If the post needed further investigation, our district threat assessment team would then assemble, review, and investigate. In addition to key terms, our monitoring area, or geofence, is set around the district and often has overlapping zones based on the schools. Chief Nichols, Dr. Pelton, Ms. Hasso, and myself have worked directly with Social Sentinel to modify and adjust our geofence as needed to capture the areas and key terms to further ensure students are safe. We hope that we have highlighted some of the major areas that continue to ensure safety of BISD students. Here's a list of additional measures in place. All campuses have threat assessment teams and have been trained to investigate threats thoroughly. Additional radios are in place on all campuses. The classroom doors are locked, and the changing of lunchtime delivery guidelines has increased monitoring of visitors in high volume times around lunch. Clearly, with all the measures in place or in motion to be in place, BISD has prioritized safety. To ensure our kids can focus and learn, once again, we would be happy to answer any questions at this time. I know it's a lot.
Mr. Atkins? Mr. Spears?
On the geofencing,
Yes, sir.
how does it select, is it scanning all social media inside of that geofencing for any key term, or does it select anything that has a profile tag to one of our schools?
Both.
It's monitoring anything within that area to pick up on if it's key terms or threatening terms.
So it has to be.
Kill, murder, any of those terms are posted on social media within that geofence, we get a notification.
Posted on a public page?
Has to be public page. Which surprisingly is done a lot more than people think.
Most of it is public, they don't think.
A lot of times you get a private post that then goes public, because it's captured and then posted and reposted. So we find that that does take place. But yes, it is limited by public versus private.
Public by somebody that is in their network, or public as in anybody could go get it? Meaning, public, because I know if I like, let's say, Brazos Wood's page, right? Then I can go on Brazos Wood page and see other people that are similar likes in Brazos Wood's page. But if I didn't like Brazos Wood and they didn't like Brazos Wood, I couldn't necessarily go directly to their page. So is it publicly linked through the school addresses, or is it just a publicly posted, like on my news feed?
It's my understanding that this company has the most available access to any post that is allowed by law.
Because that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
What
so
exposure do we have on privacy?
yeah. So yes, there are limitations for those restricted, but if someone's posting something that's allowable for you to go on and like, it's my understanding this will pick it up.
That's probably like internet work.
And I can get further information on that to clarify, but that is my understanding, is that if it's available to for anyone to gain access to it, then it does pick it up.
So is this a government, like not done by the government, but is this something accessible by government entities, or is this something accessible by anybody in the general public could pay for the service if they wanted to give some key terms?
I don't know. I don't know that as a private citizen they allow this service to be purchased. I don't know that. I'd have to find that out. I know it's used, another school district I spoke with, Friendswood, as well as using this program. And so it is cutting edge, it is advanced for a district to use this, but, you know, we are seeing that it is another layer, it is something that we trust will be useful. And we've already had, and I can go further later on with you, but we've had some posts that we've contacted local police departments because they're adults posting things of self-harm. They send mental health to homes. So
people are posting it. Usually, from a lot of our studies, we saw that there were certain key things done that were public posts. An outcry, especially when you're dealing with suicide. Maybe not as predominant with a threat, but as in suicide, which is, again, one of our key prevention measures, is we want to prevent that, obviously.
I know a lot of my peers right now are really focused on data security, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to give somebody another avenue to try to come. I don't know if we have exposure there, right?
Right.
And I'm assuming Mr. Hodgson and I have talked. And sometimes when you're on the cutting edge, you catch the blade, right?
Yeah.
And so.
They don't hook into our network. They don't have any access into
Right, but if
anything.
they had like a profile that it's attached to that then is liked by, let's say every campus, they have their own homepage. Then anybody else that likes that page, you have a direct link to them, and their algorithms then start looking at your interconnections, then post that faster.
I just meant from a security threat to Bradford ISD, like having a hole to where it would create an issue for us.
To our student, or is it known to our population that we do this, or no?
Well,
We haven't put it
it's up
in-
there tonight.
Yeah, it's up there tonight, nobody's here, nobody from the paper's here, I mean, we haven't hidden it, but we haven't broadcast it.
I'm not against it, don't get me
Right,
wrong,
yeah,
I just don't.
I will tell you, I get these at 6:30 every morning, 100% of them have been Twitter. My experience has been no kid sets their Twitter private, so if there's any, they use the algorithms to, run through certain words, certain locations, and it'll send it to you. Many of them are music lyrics, that kids are just posting music lyrics that, that you check into them and see. Again, it's just another layer that we all look at and determine if it's something that we deem to be serious or not, but we get them. And many other districts are doing this also. This company is the only company there. They don't have any competitors. They're the only ones doing it. They have an arrangement with the social media companies. That's why Governor Abbott mentioned it in his 40-page recommendations. So we explored it and felt good about it, and you guys repurchased it. It was $18,500 a year for this.
First off, to Dr. Pelton, thank you for making that raggedy clip chart on one piece thing. That is I saw those colors every day. I hope they never had to use them because I couldn't find out what page it was on. So what you've done is tremendous. Thank you. Number two, Jay, on I know we've got the front door bells and we've got the cameras everywhere. We alluded to Brazoswood having not very many doors, and the history of Brazoswood is to prop a door open so somebody can get in. Do we have a system that alerts those doors, that those doors are open, if they've got a mat in them or something like that? Do we have that?
One of the things we're working through, and Bonnie maybe will speak a little more about this, is we're looking at, those doors are locked currently, but looking at installing buzzer systems on those doors so if they're open, and posting for emergency exits only to try to keep those.
What we ran into, and we're still researching, everything that we found was a residential grade type system, something you just put at your house. So we struggled finding a commercial product, but we're still trying to get that going. And we're also looking at, as Mr. Massey can attest to, we're looking at a lot of different options of things. This is just what we've done so far, but every day, every meeting we have, we're discussing other measures that would make sense for our district. So that's something that's still on the radar, but it wasn't as low of hanging fruit as we thought it might be. It's a pretty simple thing to do, but we don't want to go buy $5 chimes and then just have them tying it back into our an actual system that can be controlled is what we're looking for to do that.
And I know everybody knows this, but it is an issue, not just in Brazoswood, but in other campuses too. But Brazoswood is
Ideally, long-term, we would love to have keyless entry on all of those exterior doors. And so, at that point, you could have all the doors secured, and then people would just badge. So they wouldn't, I guess they could still prop them open, but hopefully it would reduce that a little bit, because someone that should be coming in the building at that point would have access. So you wouldn't have as much, oh, I know this teacher has access to the building, let me pop it open.
I would like for us to research that further, if at all possible.
We're still,
I think that's crucial.
in the long run, there's gotta be some type of alarm, a warning that says the store's been open for 23 minutes, and, you know, it should just be in and out, in and out. Yeah, we're thinking that it would probably tie into our, security alarm, if we have a new robust security alarm, which Brazoswood doesn't even have a security. It's one of our campuses that we never, just because of the traffic flow, we've never installed a security alarm there. But we are working on it. It's in progress. Any other question? I had a question, two separate things. The CNF Austin counseling,
Yes.
is that being utilized? I know
Yes, yes, a lot of the, I think Allison's still over it, there's a lot of the students that are, were already utilizing that. This gives them, much more easily, availability, because it's a campus within this area that they live. So they attend the counseling services much more frequently. So there were existing, and we have, counselors that do refer families and students to that service. So yes, it is being utilized, yes.
The second question, adding all these safety, security measures, that has to have changed the way that our staff was accustomed to doing business. Are we having any issues related to that? I was curious.
Obviously, you know, one of the things we said early on is it's not inexpensive or convenient. So it is a shift, but you know, we've seen some, obviously our locked door system is a challenge at some of the elementary schools, and I think it's one that, it's adjustment phase, but we're getting there. So I think overall, the feedback we're getting from the campuses is a feeling of safety. I mean, our officers, the feel, the impact in our district is awesome to have.
I hear that.
And we have so many wraparound services for kids and for families. I mean, we're there. We're there for those families and those needs. And it's amazing what we can provide. Because most of the district I speak to about what we're doing, they're doing 2 or 3 of these things at best. And we've got 25 on the books. And they're all moving. They're moving fast. So I think just from, obviously, I'm going to feel good about it. I got 2 kids in the district, and I feel very optimistic about where we are in comparison to any school that I've talked to. So, yeah, and our teachers, the feedback I'm getting from our teachers and our principals is more like, wow, we're doing all these things, and it feels good. But, you know, we're, like Monty said, we're continuing. There's areas that we're aspiring to achieve, and we're getting there. It takes a little time, but we're moving fast. So, very proud of the efforts of everyone in the district for where we're at.
Okay. Any other thoughts before we move on? Mr. Spears?
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys supporting this. It's big. It's a big commitment from the board, and we appreciate it.
I know we really weren't even, we were thinking about it, we wasn't this focused until late May last year. I appreciate it. It's an additional, we know that's additional on top of everything else. Thank you.
It's a sad state of affairs that we have to have gun safes and AR-15s on a school campus. I'm sorry. It's a sad state of affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Whitehead.
Thank you.
Next item on our reports is item C, team leadership, lead worthy of the course, update, Mr. Cole.
Good evening. In accordance with the EH Local, an update on team leadership. The team leadership course will be provided tonight. This is a report only, and board action is not required. I do first want to recognize many of our team leadership teachers that are here tonight. Many of them just finished the open house over at Brazos Wood at 6:30 and then came and joined us. So team leadership teachers, why don't you stand real quick and I'm going to call your names. Y'all just stand. If you don't mind waving when I call your name. Mrs. Stacy Nicewander, Lisa Matrenga, Richard Sincere, Kaylin Trevino, and Jacobson Joseph. And in just a few minutes, Mrs. Nicewander will be joining me up here as well to provide an update as well. Thank you all so much for being here tonight in support of Team Leadership. Team Leadership is a nationally recognized character education and leadership development course being offered to all BISD 9th grade students for the second time this school year. The program is currently undergoing a name change to Lead-Worthy the course. Each instructor for this course attended Capturing Kids' Hearts training as well as participated in online educational courses to obtain certification to teach this class. The program has been nationally recognized since 1990 and is known to increase student attendance rate, decrease behavioral problems, and improve the overall campus environment. BISD is excited to continue to provide this opportunity to all of our incoming freshmen this school year. Team Leadership is a course in which students develop leadership, professional, and business skills through role plays, group activities, speeches, and projects. Students will learn to develop a healthy self-concept, healthy relationships, and learn to understand the concept of personal responsibility and goal setting. This course builds skills in public speaking and communication while also developing an understanding of how to manage and positively channel the power of social media. As part of the Team Leadership course, students engage in a special mini-course called Pathways to Success, or Employment 101. This course is delivered by student success coaches at each high school. The coaches focus on keys to employment such as professional introductions, job applications, and interview skills. Here to share more about the course program tonight from Brazos Wood High School is our lead teacher for the Lead-Worthy course, Mrs. Stacy Nicewander. Go ahead and come on up here, Mrs. Nicewander. She has prepared a brief video for you all. Mrs. Nicewander, why don't you share a little bit about the video before, and then also she'll tell a little bit more about the course afterward.
Okay, this is weird. You swing on none of that. So a little bit about the course. I think Brian did a great job of just telling you a little bit about the course. I think the video will do justice in kind of explaining a little bit more about what the course is about. I do have to say that we do have a wonderful team at Brazos Wood, and I honestly believe we are making a big difference at Brazos Wood by bringing in this program. But if we could just go ahead and start the video, and then I'll go more into it afterwards.
How to be young men and women in society. It teaches you just about everything you need to learn about respect and how to treat others, you know. It teaches you personal hygiene too. It teaches you how to smoke good. It teaches you how to bread suck, you know. So like before this class, I didn't know nothing like how to fill out an application. You learn that in this class too. But you learn how to fill it out. Yeah, fill out application, how to like write essays, which actually important. I remember I got offered a scholarship by college, and I had to write an essay for that. Why I should make the team, why I should be on it. I mean, if you don't also a big class, mainly because, like, it teaches you how to interact with people. And, like, yeah, I mean, it seems like you're interacting with people now, they're all on your phone, just texting, but in an awkward situation, like, let's say if you are going on a date, your phone 24/7, I don't think a girl would like that, or a guy. Bore them, probably. They want to get a second date out of you. So, like, really, it teaches you how to open up and don't be a quiet kid in class, definitely. You'll get called on a lot more if you're typically quiet, so speak up and express yourself in this class. This is probably one of the only classes you won't get judged in for being yourself.
So, that kid right there, his name's Cullen, and he walked into me the first day last year. First day of school. He said, don't plan on me taking any tests and don't plan on me doing any work. And he's turned out to be a remarkable kid. He comes to me as often as he can, first period, to help me work with my first period kids. And as you can see, he's trying to get them to buy into the system. Because right now we're teaching them about basically how to shake hands with somebody, and they don't see that it's necessary to shake hands. We're trying to get them to buy into writing affirmations. It's easy to compliment somebody on what they're wearing, but it's hard to compliment on their effort, the type of effort they give, or compliment them on their character. And you saw earlier there were some students writing, and that's what they were focusing on, writing affirmations. And it's hard for me to write an affirmation. So I think now that we're teaching them at a younger age how to appreciate people for who they are instead of what they are, I think that's going to help our environment and our school culture. So a couple of quotes that I have from some students from last year. I don't get to see them a whole lot, but when I do see them, it's, oh my gosh, it's amazing because they want to interact with me. I know I've taught PE for 28 years, and when you see your PE students, they run from you because they think you're going to make them exercise or something. But in this case, these kids are running to you, and they want to hug, they want a handshake, they want to know how you're doing. And I think, that's what it's all about. And so a few quotes. I have one student last year, and a very, very quiet young man, and I learned later that he wants to be a priest. But I was wondering how he was going to be a priest because he did not talk. He did not talk whatsoever. But one of the things that he said was, I learned about how to be more open with people. It gave me the opportunity to share with others a real opinion, and that it mattered. I gained the knowledge of how I can receive information in a way that helps me and others positively. This class gave me a chance to reveal parts of myself that I've never shown even to my family. And so to be able to, that they feel comfortable enough to be able to open up in class and not be judged. So I really feel that Leadworthy is making a difference. The kids right now, I think we're still trying to get them to buy into it, but I know that if we give it some time, it's going to work out for the best. So, any questions or?
I can't believe you're nervous. You've never been shy in your life.
Right over there.
I'll say this. This is something that I advocated for a long time while I was there for freshmen because they were lost. And this helps them find themselves. And I'm assuming that, are y'all the only guys teaching this?
No, sir, Bradleysport High School.
I mean, but on it,
Your campus.
you're on your campus. You have all the freshman class, all the
Yes.
freshman kids. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them?
There's 6 of them.
Holy cow. Bless y'all, first, especially the first 6 weeks of school. And I'll say this too, you've got a good mix, and I'm talking about somebody in the classroom. You've got 2 coaches in there. And from my years, and then that's 2 male coaches and then female coaches. Let me rephrase that. And the key there is, I don't care what it is, 95% of the kids are gonna listen with a little bit more sincerity to a coach. That's just the way it is. You don't have to raise your voice, you don't have to do anything. They just kind of gravitate for it. And that's a plus. Sometimes coaches get a bad gig in the classroom. I've never met these 2 gentlemen, but Coach Daly speaks highly of them for what they do in the classroom. And so this program needs to continue. And how many students do you have per class?
Anywhere from probably like 17 to like 28, 32.
30, from 32 to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know that's part of that schedule, I understand that, that's part of that schedule.
Yeah.
But we need to work hard for this to continue to grow with it, whatever they need.
When we brought this in, Mr. Reinhardt, we were, knowing the classroom teacher is going to determine the success of it all, we handpicked every one of these teachers because we knew that they had the qualities to make this successful. Ms. Matranga is not a coach, but she is very, very, very effective. Again, as Coach Reinhardt and I know that good coaches are also good teachers and are good at having conversations with students and teaching them life lessons. That's kind of what they're supposed to do if they're any good at it. And so, a lot of coaches gravitated to that. Last year at Bradsport High School, we had both Coach Smithy did it, the older Coach Smithy, Scott, and then his son. And this year, we have another, LaTorsha Pointer is the teacher there along with younger Coach Smithy. And they do an outstanding job also, too. We see the very same benefits and results also of the classes there.
What y'all are doing sets the stage for the next 3 years, and it's so important because if you can keep them there, you can keep them focused, then everything that happens the next 3 years is going to be remarkably exciting to them. And I congratulate y'all for doing this, and I appreciate you doing it.
Thank you.
Is that a student that she wants to? No, okay.
No.
She's just, okay.
Any other comments before we move on?
We got some more.
I have a couple more
Yeah,
slides.
I have a question.
Sorry.
One of the comments is this, thanks for the book, Brian and Dan.
Yeah.
When this came in, it was replacing health and speech.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a concern on the speech part because I think that's very critical. But once I look through here, it looks like you have speeches after every section, which, you know, that, I was glad to see that, because I think that, when that came up, it's okay, you know, kids need that, and, of course,
I can elaborate a little bit. Just the speeches are, I mean, that's one of the biggest things about this class is to be able to speak to one person, but yet to be able to speak to everybody. To be able to carry on a conversation without their, heads down, looking at their cell phones. So that's a huge requirement. And then we also combine health, the health teaks too. So, yeah, it's a big combination.
the speech part was the one that I was trying, cause I thought maybe you did 2 weeks of it, or something, so now that I see this, you know, it's a good setup, I'll have to go through it some more, so.
Yeah.
You may have to work on the kid that was avoiding the camera with the blue shirt.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my first period class and their camera shot. And sleepy.
Stacy, is Kim teaching this as well?
Yes.
Kim's teaching this as well? Okay.
Yeah, the other thing too, Board, I'd like to point out about this is a model of inclusion. We have life skills students in these classes, all special ed students are in these classes. I was in Ms. Matranga's class last year and saw several life skills students that got up to give the speech, and the lesson of the speech was not necessarily the speech they were giving, but proper posture of the speech and how you should stand, how you should hold your hands when you're delivering a speech. And we had several life skill students, and they got up there and did it just like everybody else, and they gave affirmations and received affirmations. And so, again, if you're going to visit any classes, I usually go to these classes first just because I know I'm going to see something that's going to make my day. So thank you all very much.
Maybe the board should. Not visit this school, be part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
This is a breath of fresh air. I'm tickled to death that we have this. I got it. I got your book. Throw your back. Got your book.
Thank you, Mrs. Niselander. Thank you again, Mrs. Niselander and Team Leadership Teachers. One of the other things that I wanted to share is the impact that this course has had on our freshmen, along with many of the other things we're doing on our freshmen, for our freshman students. At your desk, you should have a folder of letters from last year's Team Leadership students that tells a little bit about the impact that the course had on them. So I would encourage you to read that as you have time. Additionally, we have seen the impact of this work with our freshmen in our data. Last year, the percent of freshmen earning 6+ credits increased from 89% to 92.7%. Additionally, there was a 30% decline in freshman out-of-class referrals last school year, and the number of freshmen not meeting standard on English 1 declined by 15%, while the number of students taking the Algebra 1 EOC, those not meeting standard declined by 30%. So you can see that our freshmen, when it results in behavior and we're looking at the credits they're earning, our freshmen are very much more engaged, and we believe that this course has a great benefit for our students. So thank you so much for this report. Once again, this is a report only and no action is required. We'd be happy to answer any other questions that you might have at this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Next item on our list of reports is our board committee reports. Do we have any board members who would like to share? Mr. Atkins?
Well, I see Joe's got the book over here for the master's group. They started again, and as usual, it was very entertaining, very informative. I've been to 1 or 2 or 3, and it's always entertaining. So I think it was well received. So I think that was good. We got that Santa Fe Strong here from our football game. That was nice of them. I think they enjoyed being there. When I got there at 5 after 6, they were already there in the press box. They beat Carla, they beat me. Rita was there, being the hostess with the mostess, so it worked out. But I think they enjoyed it. Huh?
Was the food there?
Yeah.
Okay, they were good. That wasn't an issue. The food was there.
Also, I did attend, this is not a board report, but I attended the Lanier, as Joe did. That was very good. Had weather difficulties, kids outside and they were inside, but I thought they did great. And the book is good. I already read it. It's 11. It was a very entertaining book. A little turn of events. It's kind of good. So if anybody wants it, you can have my copy. I'm hoping that everybody will agree we need to do a legislative advocacy list, so it's coming up pretty quick. So I'll start it and we can add to it. So that's okay. That's it.
I would like for the mosquito control committee to take care of especially these elementary school campuses, so we don't have to close them because of the mosquito. That's not a good thing. So we need not to close the school because of mosquito. Holy Toledo! Kill it.
Any other? All right. The next thing on our agenda is work session discussion. Our next regularly scheduled board meeting is October the 15th. Next is executive session. Can we call for the purposes? All right. Moving on. All right. We're back from executive session. So unless there are any objections, we will stand adjourned.
Yeah. If you're in it now, there's a button at the right, you can download it, or here, I'll email it to you.
Email it to me real fast.
I know that you were going to be serious. Hey, there's a family connected to our church that you did. I wanted to make sure if I was and try to get you guys in a week later.
They want to post everything out there, but they don't want anybody to look at what people they want.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a doctor, it's still to them their information. And but yeah, to know that.
No, my question was it somehow
Lita, did I sign up for college 15 hours? You know, I mean, I didn't mean.
Well, I have to look at the calendar and got later on there.
I just got a text message from Kim Blanks. Husband, thank you for voting yes. Wife might kill me. It's on one of my calendars, but I don't know which one it's on. Later, don't worry about it tonight. I'm not gonna go to get dressed tonight. I just be sure I need to see if I need one. Okay.
Are you able to go?
It's Wednesday, right? Is that Wednesday? If you did, that's fine.
We'll just do that.
I didn't know what I did. I'm not very smart. Don't worry about it.
No, we'll find it in the morning.
Well, you're squinting, so it's not good.